On a humid summer morning in 2006, in a small Alabama town where everyone knew their neighbors and doors were rarely locked, a young woman vanished without a trace. Her name was Jennifer Marie Thompson. She was 23 years old, a clerk at the local grocery store, a daughter, a sister, a friend to many. She left her apartment to meet someone she trusted. She never came home. Her car was found 3 days later in a church parking lot, keys still in the ignition, her purse on the passenger seat, her phone showing the last call made at 9:47 in the morning. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no witnesses, just absence where a life had been. For 16 years, her family waited for answers while suspicion circled quietly around one name, someone close to Jennifer, someone who had been the last person to see her alive. And then, in 2022, an arrest shook the community to its foundation. But the question that haunted investigators from the very beginning remained. How does someone you love simply disappear? And how long can a terrible secret stay buried in a town where everyone is watching? Maplewood sits in the northeastern corner of Alabama, tucked between rolling hills and dense pine forests that seem to swallow the horizon. In 2006, the population hovered just under 4,000. It was the kind of place where Friday night football games drew the whole town, where the diner on Main Street knew your order before you sat down, where 3 generations might work at the same textile mill that had been the economic heartbeat since the 1950s. The downtown stretched for maybe 6 blocks, brick buildings with faded painted advertisements still visible on their sides, a courthouse with white columns, a single stoplight that blinked yellow after 9 at night. Beyond the town center, neighborhoods spread out in a patchwork of small ranch houses and mobile homes, separated by stretches of kudzu-covered embankments and gravel roads that turned to red mud when it rained. Jennifer Marie Thompson had lived in Maplewood her whole life. She grew up in a pale blue house on Oakdale Street, the middle child of 3, with an older brother named Marcus who worked construction and a younger sister, Amy, still in high school. Their mother, Linda Thompson, was a nurse at the county hospital. Their father had left when Jennifer was 12, moved to Georgia, sent birthday cards that arrived late or not at all. Jennifer had graduated from Maplewood High in 2001, worked briefly at a call center, then took a job at Hanson's Market on the edge of town. She was saving money, she told her mother, maybe for community college, maybe for a car that didn't break down every other month. She was quiet, people said later, the kind of person who listened more than she talked, who volunteered at the animal shelter on Saturdays, who drew elaborate sketches of birds and trees in notebooks she kept stacked beside her bed. In the spring of 2006, Jennifer had been dating someone named Tyler Gaines. Tyler was 26, worked at an auto parts store, drove a navy blue pickup truck with a dent in the rear fender. They had known each other since high school, though they had never been close back then. He was 2 grades ahead, played baseball, hung around with the popular crowd. They reconnected at a mutual friend's barbecue the previous summer. By fall, they were together most weekends. Her family liked him well enough at first. He was polite, called Linda ma'am, helped Marcus fix a fence one Sunday afternoon. But there were small things. Jennifer canceled plans sometimes at the last minute. She seemed quieter than usual. Her sister Amy noticed bruises on Jennifer's arm once, asked about them, was told it was nothing, just clumsy, walked into a door at work. The morning of June 14, 2006, started like most others. The sun rose heavy and warm, the kind of heat that settled into your skin before 7. Jennifer had the day off from work. She told her mother the night before that she was meeting Tyler for breakfast, that they were going to talk, maybe drive out to the lake later. Linda Thompson was working a double shift at the hospital. She kissed Jennifer goodbye before dawn, noticed nothing unusual. remembered later that her daughter had been wearing a yellow tank top and denim shorts, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Jennifer left the apartment she shared with a roommate around 8:30. The roommate, a woman named Cassie Martin, was already gone, working the morning shift at the diner. Jennifer drove a white 1998 Honda Accord with a cracked windshield and a bumper sticker that said, "Adopt, don't shop." She pulled out of the parking lot, turned left onto Highway 47, headed toward the Waffle House on the south side of town where she and Tyler often met. The manager there, a man named Ron Peters, remembered seeing Tyler that morning around 9, sitting in a corner booth, drinking coffee, checking his phone. He said Tyler was alone. He said Tyler left around 9:15, paid cash, didn't order food. Jennifer's phone records showed she called Tyler at 9:47. The call lasted 18 seconds. That was the last documented contact anyone had with Jennifer Marie Thompson. By nightfall, Linda Thompson was calling everyone Jennifer knew. Jennifer hadn't come home. She wasn't answering her phone. Cassie said she hadn't seen her since the previous evening. Linda called Tyler. He said he and Jennifer had argued, that she had driven off upset, that he assumed she needed space. He sounded concerned, he said later, worried even. Linda called the police just after 10 that night. The dispatcher took the information, said they would send someone out, said that often young adults just needed time, that she probably went to clear her head. The first deputy arrived at the Thompson house around midnight. His name was Officer Craig Mitchell, a 10-year veteran who knew the family, had gone to school with Marcus. He took notes. Jennifer Marie Thompson, age 23, last seen approximately 9 in the morning, driving a white Honda Accord, Alabama license plate 42J8793. He asked if Jennifer had ever disappeared before. Linda said no, never, this wasn't like her. He asked if there had been any recent arguments or changes in behavior. Linda hesitated, mentioned the boyfriend, the canceled plans, the bruises. Officer Mitchell wrote it down. By the morning of June 15, Jennifer had been missing for 24 hours. The Honda was still gone. Her phone went straight to voicemail. The police issued a BOLO alert, be on the lookout for the vehicle and driver. They contacted Tyler Gaines officially, asked him to come to the station. He came voluntarily that afternoon, accompanied by his father. Tyler sat in a small interview room, explained again that he and Jennifer had argued, that it was about nothing important, future plans maybe, where the relationship was going. He said she had been upset, emotional, that she drove away from the Waffle House parking lot heading east on Highway 47. He said he tried calling her later, but she didn't answer. He said he figured she would cool down and call him back. Investigators asked what time she left. Tyler said around 10, maybe 10:15. They asked if anyone else was there. Tyler said no, just the two of them in the parking lot. They asked if he tried to follow her. Tyler said no, he went home, watched television, waited for her to call. On June 17, 3 days after Jennifer disappeared, a groundskeeper at First Baptist Church on the north edge of town found the white Honda Accord parked in the far corner of the church lot, tucked beneath a sprawling oak tree. The keys were in the ignition. The driver's door was unlocked. Jennifer's purse sat on the passenger seat, wallet inside with her license and $32 in cash. Her phone was in the cup holder, battery dead. There was no sign of struggle, no blood. No fingerprints that didn't belong. The car had been wiped down, investigators noted later, though they didn't say that publicly at first. The steering wheel, the door handles, the gear shift, all clean, too clean for a car that had been driven regularly. The discovery of the car turned the case from a missing person to something darker. Search teams mobilized. Volunteers from the community, over 100 people, combed the woods surrounding the church, walked the ditches along Highway 47, dragged sections of Carter Lake with borrowed equipment. The local news ran Jennifer's photo every evening, her high school graduation picture, smiling, looking younger than 23. Flyers appeared on every telephone pole, every storefront window. The family set up a tip line. Calls came in, dozens of them, sightings that led nowhere, theories that unraveled people who meant well but knew nothing. Clear's throat. Investigators focused on Tyler Gaines. They searched his truck with his consent. They found nothing. They asked him to take a polygraph. He agreed. The results were inconclusive. The examiner said later stress and emotion could skew readings, especially in situations like this. They asked Tyler to walk them through his day again, minute by minute. He did. Same story. They asked why Jennifer's car was at the church. Tyler said he didn't know, maybe she went there to think. She did that sometimes when she was upset. They asked if he knew the church. Tyler said yes, everyone in town knew it. He had attended services there as a kid. They checked his phone records. He had called Jennifer 4 times between noon and 3 on June 14. All calls went unanswered. They checked his work schedule. He had clocked in at the auto parts store at 2 that afternoon, clocked out at 9. Coworkers confirmed he was there, seemed normal, maybe a little distracted. Those who knew Tyler said he seemed genuinely distraught. He helped with the search efforts, walked through the woods with Jennifer's brother, posted flyers, attended the candlelight vigil the community held 2 weeks after she vanished. He sat with Marie Thompson, held her hand, said he was sorry, said he wished they hadn't argued that morning. But deputies whispered quietly among themselves. Something about his timeline didn't fit. The Waffle House was 8 miles from the church. Jennifer's car had been driven there deliberately, parked in a hidden spot. If she left Tyler upset at 10 in the morning, why was her last phone call to him at 9:47? Why had the manager seen Tyler alone at 9:15? Where was Jennifer between 8:30 and 9:47? Why did Tyler say she left at 10 when the timeline suggested otherwise? They interviewed the Waffle House staff again. Ron Peters, the manager, was certain. Tyler had been there around 9, alone, left around 9:15. A waitress named Shelley confirmed it, said she remembered because Tyler usually came in with Jennifer, but that morning it was just him. Investigators asked if they had seen Jennifer's car in the parking lot. Both said no. They pulled security footage from the diner. The camera faced the front entrance, didn't cover the entire lot. They could see Tyler's truck arriving at 8:52, see him walking inside at 8:54, see him leaving at 9:16. They could not see Jennifer's Honda anywhere in the frame. Physical evidence was limited. Forensic teams processed the Honda thoroughly. They found Jennifer's fingerprints, Cassie's fingerprints, Linda's fingerprints, all explainable. They found one partial print on the rear passenger door handle that didn't match anyone in the system. They found fibers on the passenger seat, generic cotton, could have come from anywhere. They vacuumed the interior, found dirt, pine needles, nothing unusual for a car in rural Alabama. The most telling detail was what they didn't find. No signs of Jennifer after the morning of June 14. No ATM withdrawals. No credit card activity. No cell phone pings after the battery died. It was as if she had simply evaporated. The investigation slowed. Weeks turned into months. Detectives followed every lead, interviewed everyone who knew Jennifer, retraced her movements, searched every abandoned building and remote trail within 50 miles. They found nothing. No body. No evidence of where she had gone or what had happened. Tyler Gaines remained a person of interest, but they had no proof, no physical evidence linking him to her disappearance, no witnesses, no confession. The district attorney's office reviewed the case multiple times. Insufficient evidence, they said. Suspicion is not enough. The case went cold. By the fall of 2006, the searches had stopped. The media coverage faded. The flyers grew weathered and torn. Linda Thompson kept Jennifer's room exactly as it was, the sketchbooks on the nightstand, the clothes in the closet, the bed made. She went to work, came home, waited for a phone call that never came. Marcus grew angry, bitter, convinced Tyler knew more than he was saying but unable to prove it. Amy struggled in school, withdrew from friends, started seeing a counselor. The family existed in a strange, suspended state, unable to grieve fully because there was no body, no funeral, no closure, only absence and terrible unknowing. For those who have ever doubted someone you love, who have sensed that the person sitting across from you is hiding something fundamental, who have felt the weight of a lie so big it changes the air in the room, you understand the impossible position Jennifer's family occupied. Tyler continued living in Maplewood. He still worked at the auto parts store. He still attended church occasionally. He dated someone new within a year, a woman from a neighboring town who knew nothing about Jennifer. He got engaged in 2008, married in 2009, seemed to move forward with his life while Jennifer's family remained frozen in June of 2006. Clears throat. By 2010, 4 years had passed. The case file sat in a cabinet at the sheriff's office, occasionally reviewed when a new deputy came on, occasionally mentioned when someone from the community asked if there were any updates. There were none. The detective who had led the initial investigation, a man named Robert Hayes, retired in 2012. Before he left, he told the incoming sheriff that he had always believed Tyler Gaines knew exactly where Jennifer Thompson was, but belief without evidence meant nothing in a courtroom. In 2013, 7 years after Jennifer vanished, Linda Thompson received a phone call from an investigator with the Alabama Bureau of Investigation. The state had formed a cold case unit, the investigator explained. They were reviewing unsolved disappearances and homicides, using new technology, new databases. They wanted to take another look at Jennifer's case. Linda felt a flicker of something she had almost forgotten: hope. The new lead investigator was a woman named Agent Sarah Walton. She was in her mid-30s, had worked cold cases in Georgia before transferring to Alabama. She requested every document, every photo, every interview transcript from the original investigation. She built a timeline on a large board in her office, color-coded with gaps highlighted in red. The gaps told a story. Tyler's account of the morning had holes. The timing didn't work. The location of the car made no sense if Jennifer had driven there herself while upset. Agent Walton re-interviewed people. Some had moved away, some were reluctant to talk after all this time, some remembered details differently now. She spoke with Cassie Martin, Jennifer's former roommate who had remarried and moved to Tennessee. Cassie said Jennifer had been planning to break up with Tyler, that she had told Cassie the night before she disappeared that she was tired of the jealousy, the control, the way Tyler checked her phone, questioned where she was going, who she was with. Cassie said Jennifer was scared, but trying to be brave about it. Agent Walton spoke with Tyler Gaines in 2014. He agreed to meet, said he wanted to help, said he still thought about Jennifer, still hoped she would be found. He repeated the same story he had told 8 years earlier. Same timeline, same details, same gaps. Agent Walton asked why he had told police Jennifer left the Waffle House at 10 when he had left the restaurant at 9:16. Tyler paused, said he must have been confused. It was a long time ago. He was upset that day. Agent Walton asked if he had seen Jennifer at all that morning. Tyler said yes. They met at the Waffle House, argued in the parking lot. She drove away. Agent Walton pointed out that the manager never saw Jennifer. Tyler said they must have arrived separately, must have missed seeing her car. Agent Walton asked where they argued if it wasn't in the restaurant. Tyler said outside, near the back of the building, away from the windows. Agent Walton made notes, thanked him for his time. She requested Tyler's cell phone records again, this time using newer technology to map tower pings. On the morning of June 14, 2006, Tyler's phone pinged off a tower near the Waffle House at 8:54. It pinged again at 9:18, but this time off a tower near Highway 47 and County Road 12, 3 miles east of the church. It pinged again at 10:42 off the tower closest to Tyler's house. Agent Walton mapped the route. County Road 12 led into dense forest, old logging roads, hunting camps, places where a person could disappear. In 2015, Agent Walton organized a new search of the area around County Road 12. They used cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, volunteers who knew the terrain. They found nothing conclusive. The forest had reclaimed much of the old roads. Underbrush was thick. It would take months to search properly, and the resources weren't available. The case stalled again. But Agent Walton kept working it, kept building the case file, kept looking for the one piece of evidence that would make the difference. She knew what every investigator on the case had known from the beginning. Tyler Gaines was involved. But knowing and proving are separated by a chasm that many cases never cross. In 2018, 12 years after Jennifer disappeared, Tyler Gaines divorced his wife. The divorce was quiet, uncontested. Those who knew the couple said the marriage had been troubled for years, that Tyler's wife had asked questions he wouldn't answer, that she had found things that didn't make sense, receipts from places he said he hadn't been, explanations that changed. She moved to Birmingham, took their 2 children, requested supervised visitation. Tyler stayed in Maplewood, moved into a small apartment, seemed to shrink into himself. Then in the spring of 2021, something shifted. Tyler's ex-wife, a woman named Rebecca Gaines, contacted Agent Walton. She said she needed to talk, that there were things she should have said years ago, that she had been afraid but couldn't stay silent anymore. They met at a coffee shop in Birmingham, away from Maplewood, away from anyone who might recognize them. Rebecca told Agent Walton that Tyler had nightmares, that he talked in his sleep, that over the years she had heard fragments, phrases that made her blood cold. He said names. Jennifer, I'm sorry, shouldn't have. Rebecca said she had asked him about it, that he claimed they were just dreams, just guilt about not being able to help find her. But there was more. In 2017, Rebecca found a box in their attic, hidden behind insulation. Inside were newspaper clippings about Jennifer, every article, every update going back to 2006. There were photos, some Rebecca had never seen before, of Jennifer and Tyler together. There was a necklace, a small silver chain with a bird charm. Rebecca had never seen Jennifer wear it, but it looked old, personal, like something significant. Rebecca gave the box to Agent Walton. The necklace was sent to the forensic lab. DNA testing had advanced significantly since 2006. They found Jennifer's DNA on the necklace, which made sense if it was hers. They also found traces of Tyler's DNA, which could be explained if they had dated, if he had given it to her or touched it. But there was something else. Microscopic blood traces, 2 degraded to type fully but consistent with human blood, found in the clasp mechanism. The amount was minimal, the kind of transfer that might happen if the necklace had been removed forcefully, if skin had been broken. In November 2021, 15 years after Jennifer vanished, Agent Walton presented the case to the district attorney. New evidence, new witness statements, new analysis of the timeline and cell tower data. The DA reviewed everything, consulted with forensic experts, weighed the chances of conviction. In January 2022, they made the decision to move forward. On the morning of January 24, 2022, deputies arrived at Tyler Gaines' apartment with an arrest warrant. Tyler answered the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, holding a cup of coffee. They read him his rights. They told him he was being charged with homicide in the death of Jennifer Marie Thompson. Tyler said nothing. He set the coffee cup down on the counter, held out his wrists for the handcuffs, walked to the patrol car without resistance. Neighbors watched from windows. Someone recorded it on their phone, posted it to social media. Within an hour, everyone in Maplewood knew. The news spread like fire. The local station ran the story that evening, showed Tyler's booking photo, replayed the history of the case. Linda Thompson was at home when she got the call from Agent Walton. She sat down on the edge of Jennifer's bed, the one that had been preserved for 16 years, and wept. Marcus called his sister Amy, who lived in Atlanta now, worked as a graphic designer, had built a life away from the town that had taken her sister. Amy said she felt numb, had waited so long for this moment that now it was here. She didn't know what to feel. The preliminary hearing was held in March 2022. Tyler pleaded not guilty. His attorney, a public defender named Michael Cross, argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that after 16 years memories were unreliable, that the cell tower data was inconclusive, that the necklace proved nothing. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Karen Mitchell, presented the timeline discrepancies, the witness statements, Rebecca's testimony about the hidden box and the nightmares. The most damning moment came when Rebecca took the stand. She described Tyler's behavior over their marriage, the secrecy, the deflection. She recounted a night in 2019 when Tyler had been drinking, when he had broken down crying, said he had done something terrible, something he could never take back. She had asked what he meant. Tyler had looked at her and said, "I can't tell you. If I tell you, you'll leave and you'll take the kids and I'll lose everything." Rebecca said she had asked if it was about Jennifer. Tyler didn't answer, just kept crying, then went silent, shut down, refused to speak about it again. The judge ruled there was sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. Tyler was held without bail, deemed a flight risk. The trial was scheduled for September 2022. For those who have ever waited for justice, who have measured time not in years but in the weight of unanswered questions, the months between the arrest and the trial felt both endless and impossibly fast. Linda Thompson attended every hearing, sat in the front row, looked at Tyler Gaines across the courtroom, and tried to reconcile the polite young man who had once helped her son fix a fence with the person who had taken her daughter. The trial began on September 12, 2022. The courtroom was packed. Reporters from Birmingham and Atlanta, true crime bloggers, residents of Maplewood who had known Jennifer, who had searched for her, who had wondered for 16 years what had happened. The prosecution built their case methodically. They presented the timeline, showing the impossibility of Tyler's account. They presented the cell tower data, tracing his movements that morning. They presented Rebecca's testimony, the hidden box, the necklace. They brought in forensic experts to explain the blood traces, the likelihood that the necklace had been removed forcibly. They called Cassie Martin, who testified that Jennifer had been planning to end the relationship, that she was afraid of how Tyler would react. They called Ron Peters from the Waffle House, who confirmed Tyler had been alone that morning. They called Agent Walton, who walked the jury through 16 years of investigation, the dead ends, the frustration, the certainty that Tyler knew more than he had ever admitted. The defense argued that the evidence was purely circumstantial, that no body had been found, that cell tower data from 2006 was unreliable, that Rebecca was a scorned ex-wife with an axe to grind, that nightmares and hidden newspaper clippings were not proof of anything. They pointed out that Tyler had cooperated with investigators, had taken a polygraph, had allowed searches of his property. They said the state was asking the jury to convict a man based on suspicion and assumptions, not facts. Tyler did not testify. His attorney advised against it. Tyler sat at the defense table, thin, older than his years, staring straight ahead most of the time. The jury deliberated for 3 days. On September 27, 2022, they returned a verdict, guilty of homicide. The courtroom erupted. Linda Thompson collapsed into her son's arms. Amy closed her eyes, breathed for what felt like the first time in years. Tyler showed no reaction, just stood as the judge read the verdict, as the bailiff approached to take him into custody. Sentencing was held 2 weeks later. The judge gave Tyler Gaines life in prison without the possibility of parole. Before imposing the sentence, the judge asked if Tyler had anything to say. For the first time in 16 years, Tyler spoke about what happened. He stood, looked at Linda Thompson and said, "I'm sorry, I never meant for any of this. We argued. It got out of hand. I didn't mean to hurt her. I panicked. I'm sorry." He didn't say where Jennifer was. He didn't provide details. Just those few sentences, an admission wrapped in vagueness, an apology that felt both genuine and completely insufficient. After the sentencing, the district attorney announced they would continue working with Tyler to locate Jennifer's remains, that they hoped he would finally tell them where she was so the family could have closure. As of the last update, Tyler has provided some information, led investigators to a location off County Road 12, deep in the woods where the pines grow so thick the ground stays dark even at noon. Searchers have found what they believe to be remains, sent them for DNA analysis. The results are pending. The case of Jennifer Marie Thompson is both resolved and unfinished. A man is in prison for her death, but her body has not been conclusively recovered. Her family has answers but not peace. The town of Maplewood has moved on in the way small towns do, the story becoming part of its history, a reminder that terrible things can happen anywhere, that the person sitting next to you in church, working beside you at the store, might be carrying a secret that could destroy lives. Clears throat. For Linda Thompson, justice came 16 years late. She still keeps Jennifer's room the same, still looks at the sketches of birds and trees, still imagines what her daughter's life might have been. She said in an interview after the trial that she never stopped believing Jennifer would be found, that the truth would come out, that someone somewhere was watching, remembering, carrying a piece of evidence that would matter. She was right. There are lessons in this case that extend beyond the specifics of what happened on a June morning in Alabama. They are lessons about patience, about the dogged persistence of investigators who refuse to let a case go cold in their minds, even when the file sits closed in a cabinet. They are lessons about the courage it takes to come forward, to speak truth even when it costs you, even when it implicates someone you once loved. They are lessons about the small details, the inconsistencies that seem meaningless at first but that accumulate into a weight too heavy to ignore. A cell phone ping, a necklace in a box, a nightmare spoken aloud, a timeline that doesn't fit. Jennifer Marie Thompson was 23 years old when she disappeared. She loved animals, drew pictures, worked hard, tried to navigate a relationship that had become dangerous without fully understanding the depth of that danger. She deserved to grow old, to pursue her dreams, to become whoever she might have been. Instead, she became a cautionary tale, a cold case file, a name on a list of those lost to violence. Her memory endures in her family, in the community that searched for her, in the investigators who never gave up. Tyler Gaines is 52 years old now. He will spend the rest of his life in prison, which is both everything and nothing compared to what was taken. Justice in cases like this is imperfect, partial, a poor substitute for the life that was stolen. But it is something. It is acknowledgement. It is consequence. It is the public declaration that Jennifer mattered, that her absence was noticed, that someone was held accountable. The story of Jennifer Thompson matters because it is not unique. Across the country, thousands of cases sit cold, waiting for the technology to catch up, for the witness to come forward, for the small detail to finally make sense. If you are someone who carries information about a crime, about a disappearance, about something that happened that you have kept silent, understand that time does not erase truth. It only delays it. 16 years passed before Jennifer's family got answers. 16 years of wondering, waiting, hopping. Your silence might be protecting someone who does not deserve protection. Your words might be the key that opens a case that has been locked for decades. If this story mattered to you, subscribe and hit the bell. Share the episode. Someone somewhere may still be waiting to be heard.